Well, Ableton 12 has arrived, and there is much to cover. That being said, one thing looks clear. It seems we have a new king in the town when it comes to piano roll. I want to start this video with a disclaimer. This video is not sponsored by Ableton. No money exchanged the hands. Nor Ableton get to see this video before I publish it. So all the things in this video are my subjective opinions. Because I'm going to praise and roast Ableton at the same time in this video. So let's jump in. Alright, Ableton 12. Overall, it doesn't look too different. The biggest difference is the frames around the panels are removed. So we have a bit more minimalist look. Also there are some small changes, like the markers are slightly bigger. I think color wise 11 was a bit more saturated, but we have a high contrast option with the 12, which makes everything a bit more saturated and contrasty. I was never into themes because I really enjoy the dark theme, but if you are into that, we now have new themes. But biggest improvement is now we can have device view and clip view at the same time. Oh yeah, before we forget, now we have mixer in arrangement view. From here we can pick what we want to see in the mixer, but our menu right here where we can actually decide if we want to see the ins and outs, and what we see here, that disappeared. So if you have mixer, you have the same information here and here at the same time. But I would probably use this one, like if I could take ins and outs here, so I have a bit more space there, and keep it over here. At the moment you can only do it other way around. We are looking at a new instrument that's called meld. So we have two oscillators, and each oscillators have these weird shapes or waveforms where you have two macros to change the tonality. And then each oscillator has its own envelopes and the modulator section, and then we have quite a bit of different filters. Even then we have the resonator, which are tunable, but the main power of this synthesizer is the modulation section. When you click this button over here, it opens up a huge modulation section. And you can modulate almost everything, and you can even cross modulate the things. Super duper cool. Couple of presets. Roar is a new saturation distortion plugin. It looks quite simple. We have the dry part and the stage where we control the filters and saturation amount, and then the feedback and the compression. Overall, the plugin is super warm and nice. It's a very good distortion. But then the magic happens when you click on this button over here. And then we have this huge panel with tons of different options. You can then pick the mode where you can use different stages on serial mode. Or you can go parallel. And then you have, of course, multiband. And then we have the mid side, and then the gnarly feedback. Modulation metrics here, super clear. This is really a top-notch saturation. Really well done, Ableton. Tags and filters. This was something long overdue, but now we have filters in Ableton. Let's say if you go to instruments, if you click the filter acoustics, only acoustic instruments will be shown. And the filter is using what's called tags. By clicking edit here, it opens pre-built tags that you can see over here. You can make your own tags, but I think the question here, does Ableton automatically tag your samples? If I go to, for example, our Mercurial Tones products, you see that all those tags previously shown disappeared. The way you add tags is you click the sample, click edit, and then you, for example, pick this one as a kick sample. So the next time I can click here, kick, and kick is filtered. So this is okay, but I would be much happier if Ableton were able to tag everything with an AI engine, so I don't need to go all my samples or devices or whatever I'm using and tag it myself. I hope they implement it later on. While we are in searching, there is one thing that is super cool, and it is called Similarity Search. It is very similar to what Splice has. So idea is simple. You like the kick and you want similar kicks, and then you find a clap. And voila! Ableton finds you the similar sounds. We are in drum rack. Let's say we want to find similar sounds. Pretty cool. Maybe you realized we have a new option over here. Basically, it helps you to pick a scale for your track. Let's say we are in F minor. And then if you go to our devices over here, you will see that we have a new option. And clicking this will ensure that anything that you play stays in the scale that you selected. This also works with instruments like Mel's new filters. If you're enjoying the video up to now, please consider like and subscribe. Alright, the biggest change, the piano roll. The first thing, super simple, the shortcut E, which is basically the razor tool. If you hold E, it turns on this and then you can basically cut stuff. If you want to cut and quantize at the same time, E, hold, and then you can do something like this. One thing I'm going to use quite a bit is Ctrl E and up and down arrows to split it equally. Look, now we have new tabs over here. The first one is called Transformation tab. And we have different options in drop down menu. And all these different options do different stuff. For example, if you take arpeggiate and then you can transform this into the arpeggiation. And you in the real time have your feedback like distance, rate, gate, style. It is really straightforward and intuitive to use. And because scale awareness is armed, everything we do here is F minor. Really cool. Next one, connect. This one just fills the empty space between the notes. We can either spread, we can decide on density, how we are going to tie. Ornament just adds short strokes, beginning of the note. Good for accents. We know what quantize does. Recombine creates the combination of the notes that you are having. Like in this case, we can do stuff like this. Span is just for legato, tenuto, and staccato. Strum is pretty cool. If you have a chord like this, then you can take the strum. And more interestingly, time warp. This is pretty cool because then you can shape. It basically helps you to warp the MIDI. And the next part is called generative tools. So now we have tools that can create harmonies or melodies for you, which is super fun. For example, the rhythm is quite simple, right? You click generate and you pick the density, steps and pattern and it generates a pattern for you. And then you can decide if you want to split them and then you can actually shape them around, try different versions of the same pattern. The second part is seed. And the way it works, you pick a range and then you decide duration of your notes and decide on the velocity range and decide on the voice. If you pick a one noise and then you can decide on density, maybe faster, maybe tighter. And remember, because we are scale aware, everything is inside F minor. And then we have the shape. In this part, you can actually draw things with your mouse. And then finally, stacks. This is for creating chord progressions. Depending on what you pick, it will create different type of harmonies of your root key. Then you can add more chords. Let's say we want to have 4 chords. Let's see, we want C, maybe go a bit up, maybe come back down, something like this. Super intuitive and super easy to come up with new ideas. Alright, Future Alice here. So I played around a little bit more the seed and other generative algorithms over here, and I'm pretty confident that they are just random generative algorithms. They are not using any AI here. And I think this is a big loss. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a very good option and I'm super happy that Ableton is on money implementing this right here. But this could have been much more deal breaker tool if they had implemented AI here. But I'm trying to say I could love to pick a genre. For example, I could say I want to keep it in techno, then I would like to pick a type. It could be a hook, it could be a melody, it could be a sequence, so that we can have different options and then generate afterwards. And on top of that, I would love to have an option to lock the notes here, so that when I change the generative options, the notes that I don't want to change is locked on the grid. Ableton, you're probably watching this, so think about this option. You have to do it. These were the new things, but there are also a lot of improvements. I will not be able to go through all the small details, but I want to show you facelifted devices. The first one, arpeggiator, it looks more modern, we have a couple of more options, small but nice changes. And the same thing applies to chord. Now we have the options like strum, tension, crescendo, and velocity and chance options for each shift that we are picking. And then envelope MIDI, now we can adjust the settings on here on the graph itself, so we don't need to fiddle around here. Then LFO, one thing that I use all the time, and there was one thing that really bothered me. Before, we were not able to use it in modulation mode, which means that if you assign it, for example, a parameter, you couldn't change the initial value here. You had to go in, but now you can switch it to modulation mode. That means that you can actually adjust the starting point of the parameter that you are picking. Super cool. And then good old multiband dynamics. We now have each parameter shown here, so you can actually adjust each band separately. Small but nice improvement. Things that I didn't like with the new update. The first thing is we still can't freeze the groups. I've been telling this now for, I don't know, more than 5 years, and that option is still not available. Another thing that bothers me, we still don't have dynamic EQ in Ableton. It is 2023, almost 2024. I think dynamic EQ should be a default and every EQ should have it. I have a video here that you can actually build your own dynamic EQ in Ableton, but I really don't understand why they just don't take that video and make a device out of it. Come on, it shouldn't be that hard. Features again, now played around a bit more, and when it comes to the AI part of the Ableton, I think we are missing quite a bit. For example, if I have a melody, I would love to have an option, okay, generate alternative or improve the melody. This type of things, so that I can kind of use the AI as my assistant, a tool that could help me out with my production. This type of tools are missing. I know no DAW has implemented something like this, but if there's one DAW that can implement it, I think it's Ableton. Ableton guys, if you're watching this, please consider it. Alright, what is my verdict? Should you update your Ableton? I think it really depends. The easy case is, if you are using Ableton 10, you should update to 12. I think you shouldn't wait more. If you are using Ableton 11, it depends on what you do with the Ableton. If you are a person who likes to play all the melodies and chords and has own synthesizer and effects, updating to Ableton 12 probably won't give you much. But if you are a person who are in the box quite a bit and use a lot of MIDI, this is probably a really nice update for you, because you will save a lot of time and your life will be much easier. And all these quality of life updates are really great. If you want to see more fun music production videos, take a look at here.